It's nice and cool, hey? I can see the background. You're in the legendary studio. It's just booting up. Wonderful. I think that we're virtually live now. Nice and cool, hey? There we are. Right. So, I think we can go nice and early. I think we might as well just start. Welcome, everybody. This is Sukhi Wahiwala, your host this evening, Tuesday, as you know, the drill between 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening, live on YouTube and Salam Radio, which is on the salamradio.co.uk application for everybody who's international. Welcome to the Empower Hour show. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It's 1 hour with truly empowering, inspirational individuals who have turned their life around, engaged themselves, and become legends across the planet. Today, we're not going to let you down. I think I'm going to say this honestly, one of my personal connected favorites. I have been tracking Bittu Singh, which is what you'll hear, and his trademark name, as you can see, is BEE2 and the number 2. But Bittu has been around for a very long time, from a very tender age of 14, touring the world as a professional Tumbi player. He has taken his art to a next level. He is a must-have individual for tracks played in the UK and around the world with reference to Tumbi, which is a single string instrument, which I think we'll show a bit later on our show with reference to how he sits on the tracks. He is a sound engineer, a qualified sound engineer, and has been a part of a legendary team up with himself and so many others who have delivered big BIG, no little pun there, big tracks across the Bhangra industry across the globe. He is none other than a very, very local good friend. Welcome, Bittu.
Thank you very much, Sukhi. Thank you for having me on your show.
It's really, really wonderful to have you here. And I'm not going to hold back. This is going to be, we're open, we're as clear as possible. The whole of this show, the vision and the mission of this particular show is for you to be fair with everybody, and we're going to probe you hard, I'm afraid, my friend, and we're going to come with beautiful conversations, and I'm hoping we might even hear your voice, which is the legend that I loved myself. I will be asking for all the audience here, if you're tuning in from anywhere around the globe, I mean, even from North America, all the way through right to the Fijian Islands. I cannot believe there was such a brilliant following. This evening is going to be a treat for yourself. So, Bittu, just a quick question. Where are you from? Because we know how we get straight to it and very close and tidy.
Yeah, well, I'm from born and bred in London, West London to be more specific. Southall is where I was brought up. And yeah, I'm still in the West London area.
Yeah.
And we still have, like, this is the second studio. This is from my home I'm talking from right now. Mm-hmm. And we also have a studio in Southall.
Wow.
Which is, okay. Yeah. So and we still have that up and running.
Yeah, so we're touching base. And what's the studio called? Just so everybody can understand where you're from.
The Soundpipe Studios.
Okay. And we'll talk a little bit about your latest release as well. But, you know, the Empower Hour is about you. It's about you to share your own thoughts as well. So we'll touch a little bit about Glock later on, if I may. If that's okay with yourself. I might even get you to sing a few songs, but there are a few of the lines. And boy, do you look dapper in that track, I will say. The old the turban, the star looks really, really cool on you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Right, so Bittu, relax. You're from West London, like many of our audience individuals, and you've taken stardom at such a young age. I mean, what was childhood like? I mean, you know, what was school like, and how many are you one of?
Well, I'm one of 4 kids, and my whole me and my siblings, we're all into music. Like even my older sister, she's a great musician. She plays the sitar, flute. She was very into music her whole life. So she's a musician. Then it's me second. Then it's my younger sister, also did Kirtan in a young age. Is a musician, and obviously everybody knows my brother, my youngest of the 4 of us.
Yes,
and he also is a music producer and a maestro as well in the music world. He plays a lot of instruments as well, like myself.
Brilliant. And the question I'm going to say to yourself is that, look, you've come from such a musical family, in specific your sister as well, with the traditional. And a lot of people don't know this about you. You're not just what we classify as the basic Bhangra singer, which is like a person, a numpty like myself, who gets up and says, right, I'm going to become a Bhangra singer, and off I go and start singing these out of tune tracks. You've actually taken learnings and lessons. We'll touch on that in a moment. As a classical person and individual. Can I ask a question? How did the music vein start within the Bittu clan?
Well, it's not a lineage like that's been coming from back in the day, if you would like to say. So there's nobody that was into music, really into music. But there was my dad's uncles, my dad's uncle, his mama, and my dad's cousin brothers, also my dad's brothers as well. They were big fans of music. My dad's cousin brothers, who are my uncles as well, Chache, they are actual singers as well. Oh. And they were folk singers. They play the Tumbi as well. And they are obviously my dad's generation. They used to play, and that's where I saw it first. When we used to have a family gathering and everyone sitting there, and one person just pulled a Tumbi out and started playing it. And I was just amazed, mesmerized about that moment. And that's where, and at that time, there was nobody where, like when I went to school, no one knew about the Tumbi. Nobody even here really knew what a Tumbi was. They only knew it from, if they heard it and they say, oh yeah, that's the one that plays on the song. Desi je gaane, Manak Saab de, Chamkile de gaane, Sadiq Saab de, wo gaane. So that's where, even when I went to actually try to get one, when I was telling my older sister, I was too young to actually go to the shops to get one. I was telling my sister that I really want a Tumbi. She went out and she took me to Bina Musical and places like that in Southall.
Legend Bina.
And they didn't even have a Tumbi at that time. They never knew. Yeah, they never had a Tumbi at that time. They were just selling tabla. They had, even Dol wasn't that big at that time. It was just coming in. So they didn't even have many tools. There was more classical instruments, sitar, shenais, and all that. They had all those type of instruments. They never had a Tumbi. So then they say, "Hanji asi manga dange," this and that. So that all happened. But it was crazy because when I used to go to school, I used to tell them about this instrument called a Tumbi. I used to try to explain to them. I used to play it with my mouth. I used to go. I was trying to explain to them what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. My friends never used to get it, and it was just it was. And even when I started playing it later on in the years, when I was in high school and I used to play, and no one around me knew what. They didn't even know who Kuldeep Manak was really, and they didn't know who Chamkila was. They didn't really know that kind of music. Around me was all about Jay-Z, hip hop. That was the in thing at that time.
Yeah. Tupac. And just for the audience, in case you don't understand, sorry to interrupt there, but Kuldeep Manak and Surinder Shinda and Chamkila and all these people are actually traditional folk legends within the Bhangra and Punjabi industry from India, which is northwest India. If you're just tuning in and there's something new to yourself. So where we're talking about this Tumbi, and I'm hoping you'd have a Tumbi near yourself somewhere where you can actually just show and lift it. That's what it is. So can I just touch a little bit about this particular instrument? Now, I'm just going to get my head around this, B2.
Yeah.
You can get all of the tones. I mean, we used to, in the Western world, we're used to seeing a guitar with at least 5 or 7 particular strings. You're saying that this one string can deliver, I know this can, but for our audience tonight, can it actually deliver all the range?
Well, yes. The Tumbi style I play now gives me the whole scale. So on a folk Tumbi like this, it's like a Tumbi. It's like a violin. So it's like a fretless. You would play it on one string. So you would. Well, it's very difficult to get to all those. So it's very difficult to get all those notes on a normal Tumbi like this, a standard Tumbi. But the Tumbi style I play, which is called the Surawali Tumbi.
Okay.
That gives you more scale. So that gives you more keys, gives you more notes. That's why I'm able to play very complicated melodies on the one stringed instrument.
On the single instrument, yeah? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
So in context of where I'm trying to say is that this is actually an instrument which is traditional.
Yes.
I suppose that's traditional as the dole, which is the big, large drum that's played with the two different skins on either side on the singular piece, isn't it? And
Yes.
very few of the young generation like yourself who actually have taken A, an interest, or B, even have mastered the art.
Yes. Yeah. So, and even another thing that I've, when I was at university, I mean, we can talk about that later on, but, that's where I actually created a microphone for my Tumbi. So it's a certain mic that picks up the right tones of the Tumbi. And I was the first one to actually have an electric Tumbi.
I understand that. So my industry knowledge from the 90s is it was such a big thing, if you remember. I think it was circa around about 1987, 88, when Johnny, the dole player, Kelsey, when he actually drilled in. You remember
That's right. That's right. I remember that time. Yeah, exactly.
And then he would literally plug his dole player.
Absolutely.
It was a big thing in those days.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same sort of thing over here, because I was playing with my accompanied instruments were always dole. So whenever I'm playing the tumbi, it was always a dole I would have to be competing against. And such a small instrument like this with such a small sound, competing with such a loud instrument was, I mean, playing into a normal mic, it was impossible because the dole player would be right next to you and he would be in that mic as well. So you never hear the tumbi. I used to end up breaking strings, all sorts. But when I got to university, then one of my lecturers when we were doing sound engineering, he was, we were also learning about components and the motherboards and how, auxiliaries are run in mixers, and we were designing things like that. And I asked him if he could help me, or he could give me the understanding, this is what I want to make. This is a mandolin type, I bought the tumbi in, or you could call it a banjo type sort of instrument. And I needed such a mic which will not pick up the feedback of the tools, first of all, because they're going to be playing right next to me. Yeah. And I need to plug it in such a way where I can move around on stage, I can dance. The plug won't come out, because I'm quite energetic when it comes onto the stage.
To say the least. To say the least.
Yeah. So I do not want this thing to fall out. So all these things were a part of the equation on this mic, and then we designed a mic. And and I was the first one to have a proper electric tumbi. And then now there's other ones that people have sort of made from India, and they've stuck, I don't know what type of mics they are, but mine is a certain type I've made.
I think with the era you did it, it was very specific on what kind of microphone it is. And nowadays people use software to get themselves past those things now.
Yes. Yeah.
What a brilliant story there. That is so influential within the industry. And to be honest with yourself, I just want to touch a little bit, if I can, just a little bit about your history, because can you tell us a bit about the earlier days? Because I know you toured with the Bhangra group and you moved across the globe, and you were taken at such a young, tender age, like 14 years old, 13, 14 years old. Please tell us a bit about that early day.
I mean, even before that, I just want to touch a bit about my schooling when I was in what we would call middle school. Shall we say? I don't know what they call it now.
Middle school,
junior school. Very young age. I had this passion that I wanted to learn music, and I had no way to learn this music. And there used to be a teacher, Mr. Sheikh. I'll never forget his name. He was the tabla player. Oh, right. He used to come in once a week. Sorry, excuse me. He used to come in once a week to teach the tabla. And because I was a bit of a naughty child, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't that great with academic, sitting down, pen to paper sort of thing. I'm just not that kind of person.
Oh, so I know who was the joker of the family, and I know who was the central attraction in the parties, but we're going to touch on that in a moment. Yeah.
So at that young age, I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
I had so much energy, wanted to learn. I would never get picked because only the good kids, there was only 2-3 kids that used to go and learn the tabla. I never used to get picked. So every year, for the 2-3 years that teacher was coming in, I never got picked. But the way I was learning, because the guy next to me, that used to sit next to me on my table, he used to learn. He was the one that got picked to learn the tabla. So he used to come out of the class and straight away I used to say to him, "Bro, how do you do this? And on the table, we should draw with a pencil the tabla. So the big ganari and the shai, the black part that goes, he used to teach. Yeah, and he used to teach me that this is da, and this is where you want to hit it. But I never just knew how it would sound. So I didn't know if I knew where to hit it, but I didn't know what the sound would be like.
That's right. You kind of got the line. I get that. But how is that audience? I mean, it's wonder for everybody to understand that. How empowered this conversation is, because it wasn't going to take no for an answer. He was doing his minions, me, pick me, sir, but never were picked. But at the end of the day, he still spent his time to step out of his own way and become that entrepreneurial thought process of actually getting hold of the information anyway. So
yes,
he was kind of, because the double-light itself, if anybody doesn't know what that is a larger drum and a smaller drum faced. They really aren't kind of drums. They really are double lights. It's a very particular instrument.
That's right.
2 parts to it, and that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. So the guy on my right hand side, he was playing the tabla. The girl opposite me, she was learning the harmonium. So I used to go to her.
The harmonium,
and say,
piano.
And she's the first one that actually told me, "Oh, this is sa re ga ma pa da ni sa." She taught me that because she was learning it from Mr. Sheikh. So I was learning from these guys.
Secondhand.
That were on my table. Yeah, second-handed. So I was learning all this, and then went to high school. High school, first year of high school, they said, right, who wants to learn music in there? Like, you're going to have your music lessons anyway, and then we're going to have Indian music lessons, which you'll have to sign up for this and that. I never had, in my class or in my school, there was not many Punjabis or Indians at all.
Okay.
There was only 3-4 of us. So I said to them already, I said, guys, you lot better not sign up for this because I need to, So I was behaving myself. As soon as they told me this in the first year, I was behaving myself. I said, right, I'm not going to repeat what happened in my middle school. I'm going to make sure I get into this lesson. Finally, I get into the lesson. And who's the teacher? It's the same teacher, Mr. Sheikh, right? So he's teaching at Ealing Green High School. Yeah. Right, so I've gone there. I've got, and I'm the only student. So the other guys have just said, right, you go ahead. One said I'm going to learn saxophone. One said I'm going to do the drum kit. All sorts. I said I'm going to learn Indian music. Got in there. Right. What do you? Yeah. I said, he said, right. How much of tabla do you know? I said I don't really know much, but I sort of know like the balls because I really didn't know exactly what. He said, show me. I went da 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 da. He said, you know how to play tabla? You're lying. I said, I've never, this is the first time I touched a tabla. He said, no, you know how to play a tabla. How do you know? I said, sir, I learned from somebody else. They just told me the balls, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't tell him exactly that. The students that you were teaching in my middle school, they were teaching me. So anyway, for a year, we had tabla lessons from him. I was having learning, it was only tabla at that time, yes. Okay. It was only tabla. And my other friends that were learning the drums and things like that, I was learning of them. I was learning how to play the drum kit from them. I was learning how to play the bass guitar. I was like, from my friends, from my other friends.
What an inspiration.
So what happened? Yeah. So after, and the funny thing is, I remember, the tabla case in those days, I mean, I'm sure they're still the same. It used to be where you put the tabla side by side, big case.
I've got one sitting just there. I know.
Yeah. So the teacher said to me, he said, look, if you want to take it home, you can take it home to practice. I thought, this is brilliant. I went home. He said, you have to get this form signed. I went home, spoke to my mum, and I said, look, I'm going to bring a tabla. She said, she said, concentrate on your education. You are not bringing no tabla home. Oh my God. Right.
Basically, what she was saying is that I want you to be an academic. I want you to become an academic individual and not a musician, because obviously it's kind of a taboo sometimes in some families, and it's not one person above another, caste culture, nothing, but it's just the fact.
No. Because they've never seen anybody making money out of the music industry.
That's right. Yeah, even your uncle
so obviously
would have been doing it temporarily just as a social.
It was just a social thing for them. It was a hobby. They were something else. So they said, right, you're going to waste your life in this. Do not get into this. So I had to forge my parents' signature. I had to forge the signature, take it to school.
Please,
bring the tabla home.
Children, if you're listening, no, that's not what we're suggesting. Bittu's not saying go and forge your parents' signature at all. He's saying go and openly. I'm just letting you all know.
Absolutely. But times are different now. At those times were different. As you would know, Sukhi. Yes. It was a hard conversation to have with my parents. That was very hard conversation. And then I took the tabla home. I took the tabla home and I had to take it on a bus because my mom and dad wasn't going to come and pick me up with a tabla. So I had to take it on a bus. So I went to school, I actually got on a bus all the way from Ealing, all the way back into Southall with this massive case. People are looking at me thinking, what the hell is it? It's like I'm carrying a coffin or something. So I've taken this tabla home, then I've hid the tabla. And then when mom and dad were at work, then I would be practicing. Then I would take it out of the shed, put it back again. Then I have to take it again back to school. Yeah.
Hold on a second. Look at this, audience, for the effort that it took. And not only that, the innovation, the entrepreneurial innovation you had to come up with was that I can do attitude. I'm going to get this thing home, whether I like it or lump it. I'm going to take it home, whether it's the size of me, I don't care. And I'm going to make sure it's needed. So my parents, mum specifically, God bless them, doesn't know what's going on. And I'm going to hide it. And whenever they've gone out, I'll play then.
Absolutely.
So
that's exactly what was happening.
Such ingenuity. It's wonderful. Such a great thing. Please, Bittu, carry on.
Yeah. And then after that, only first year, my school went into this funny thing where the school was going to close down now. Now, school's closing down. Ealing Green High School is turning into Ealing Tertiary College. Everybody get out sort of thing, right? All the lessons that you don't need to have, you're not going to have them anymore. Like, so this is in the second year. So I really haven't had much lessons.
Like a cost.
Yeah. So they're changing the school to a college. So all the teachers have started to leave now. They've told us that you have to go to another school. If you can't, you will stay here, but you will just complete your couple of years. But in the last year, the last fourth year, you'll become a college, but you will still have your lessons. But it's going to be, everything's going to be streamlined. Only the lessons that you need to have, you will have. So what's happened here now? My music teachers left.
Yeah, musical's going to get cut.
Music's cut. Yeah. Music lessons are cut. Mr. Sheikh, he's gone as well. He's out of the job. He's gone. But all the instruments are still there in the music room. The music room is gone like a graveyard.
My goodness me.
Empty. There's no one goes in the music room. Right? Nobody goes in there. So this has happened early in the second year. So most of the schools started to leave. There's only 3-4 of us that were left. And my mum said, just stay there. My mum and dad said, look, you're there now. Just stay there, complete your school, whatever you have to do, just do it. They just left me to it. I said, look, just leave me there, it's fine. So there was only about 2-3 teachers left, the head teacher and 2 other teachers. And those 2 teachers would teach everything. So geography, business studies, all the core things. It was a classroom. Second, third year, it was a classroom of about 7-8 people. Then it was only about 3 or 4 of us left.
I understand, yes.
Till the end of the year. But what was happening here now? Every lunchtime, Sukhi, I will tell you the truth. Every lunchtime with my ID card, it used to be a flimsy thing. I used to go to the music room, slit it through the door, open the lock. I used to sit in the music room for an hour every day. Every day.
Just playing and focusing on your own then?
On my own.
So no Mr.
On my own.
Nothing at all?
Nothing. No music teacher. My friends, and you know what? Funny thing is, it kept me out of trouble. All my friends were bunking. They were smoking in the behind the bike sheds. They were getting involved in other troubles because it was just the times. They were the times at that time.
And once again,
I was getting my lunch for literally 2 seconds, just get like a little crisp packet or something, and running to the music room and sitting there for an hour by myself. And I learned the saxophone, the clarinet from there. I was learning the guitar, the music sheets were there. I was learning everything myself.
So hang on a second. I'm sorry about this. This gets clear. You're sitting in this room on your own. Obviously, you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But no one's really upset by stopping you and saying, "Where's all this music? Where's the music coming from?" Because the school had already invested in all of these particular instruments.
No, this music room was right at the end of the school where nobody would hear it. If I was banging away in that room, nobody would hear it because the teachers were right on the other side, and they never come to that side anymore.
But they still
it was all closed off.
Right, but they still had all these instruments and everything, but but which logically would have been useless and not used. Yes. And the sheer fact that you took the ingenuity to do something like that. I mean, of course, we're not advising anybody to go against the school rules, please, but the burning desire to be a musician and to be the crafted individual from your art is that's just so beautiful.
And
go for it.
Sorry, and I didn't really understand at that time, Sukhi. I didn't understand what I was doing. It was just this passion. I never even thought about it. It was just bam. That's what I want to do. I'm going to do it. I want to learn music. I like that. It just feels good. I want to be there, learn it. There was no vision that I want to go into this as a profession. There was no vision at all that I want to do anything with this. I just wanted to learn it. I couldn't even show anybody. There was no audience there. I couldn't do nothing. Yeah. It was just me, myself, and I.
So the intention was really, if you think about it realistically, for our audiences, you had no intention, you had no visual, no version of your world that you could visualize to say that that is what I'm going to become, an instrument, like an instrument player and a musician, world-class musician, to say the least. But in context of that, that shows your ingenuity and focus. So in latter years, when you started obviously finessing the instruments, various different instruments, and I can't believe how many you play. It's amazing, amazing, amazing.
I've forgotten most of them, by the way, so don't quote me on it and make me play. I
I'm
can't
going to
play
make
the
you play.
guitar
No,
and
no,
all sorts
no,
now.
no, no.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say something that the reality is that sometimes I think as a musician, you know that if you pick something up, even if it's a dated, it's like there's muscle memory. There's something that starts to play with it again. Obviously, being in school, it's a different thing, but it gives you the base of conversation. So, you know, I'd like to say, I've got another question for yourself. That in life, but what happens is we go through life, and we sometimes, I mean, this is obviously a lovely part of who Bittu is. Yeah, the person. But I'm just going to talk about something else as well. That there's a journey that you had in life. There's always what we classify as it's a life-defining moment, something that shifts a person on, you know, like world is now real. It's like there's a, you know, sometimes when as a younger person, individuals coast. They just wake up in the morning, they go home, and it's as though it's not real. It's like some kind of a dream. Yeah. And you're not really applying yourself, you know, when you really are, when the music, I'm using a music analogy, when the music needle, the stylus is actually touching the record and there's actually music coming out. Does that make sense? In life, we call this a defining moment. Yeah. So was there such a defining moment for you in your life and career when all of a sudden you started taking life seriously as well?
Okay. Coming from that point. So from college, I went into university. Like I said before, Sukhi, I never had no intentions of becoming a full-time professional musician. I was just going through the motions. My parents told me to go, you know, the in thing at that time was to become a architect or something. Or so I was doing at college. I did a BTEC National in computer studies, computer science.
Yeah, that was very much so. Yes.
Yeah. So from there, I went into university. I went to Leicester University, trying to do a computer engine. A business, computer, whatever science degree. Right. I totally failed. Fell flat on my face. And at that time, you remember we used to get grants.
Yes.
We used to get the grant. So you would only get this one grant, right? Okay. No, you'd only get like one, or you'll get one more chance. So I had this first grant, and I went and I got to university at Leicester University, did my computer science course, failed. Right? Came back home, applied for another grant, and I thought, okay, I was partying too much. Okay, so that was the cause of my failure. Right? I was partying too much. Let's stay at home this time, and let's go to a local university. So I went to TVU, and I selected a business study, business degree. Went into that, failed again, Sukhi.
Wow.
Failed again. I couldn't just get my head around it.
You just really
failed again.
Yourself. It wasn't the one.
Now this is that moment now, coming to the question you were asking, the turn. I've come to a road now. I've come to a road. To me, it was a dead end road. I said, I have failed now twice, so I'm not going to get a grant now. I'm not going to get that grant, that government grant, to actually carry on with my studies. So, and I can't afford to pay for it myself, because I'll probably end up failing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm sitting there talking to my, she's my wife now. She was my girlfriend then. And I said, look, it's done. I'm done. Right? Mom and dad are going to get me a job in the airport somewhere, or whatever, a 9 to 5 job I'll have to do. And that is it. I'm finished. My life is over.
With respect to those jobs, because they're very, very necessary. Absolutely.
Of course. Everybody made to do, there's a purpose for everyone. It wasn't just my purpose. No. It wasn't I couldn't just do that.
You wouldn't feel, is it correct to say that you wouldn't necessarily feel what we call alive? That's right. You know, you wouldn't feel engaged, would you? Right?
Absolutely. For me, yeah. So I was totally
broke in your head.
I was just blank. I didn't know which way to go. I said, I'm done. What job I'm going to get? How am I going to even find a job? You know, I haven't got the degree, this and that. Blah. And my wife said to me, look, what do you exactly want to do? I said, what I want to do, I can't do.
Bless.
What is it? Tell me, what do you want to do? I said, what I want to do is, what I want to do is,
just in case everybody's listening, he's Instagramming this as well at the same time.
Yes, sorry. The phone just fell. Someone was trying to ring. I was trying to cut that off. What I want to do, I said, is music, but that is just my hobby. I said, well, I can't do anything about it. I mean, that's just my hobby. She said, why can't you do that? I said, first of all, my parents, I can't go to my parents and say, look, I want to make a profession out of music, anything to do with music. Yeah. I said, that doesn't make sense. It wasn't making sense to me, Sukhi. It wasn't making sense to me.
No clarity.
There was no, I said, there's no, you can't get a job in music. She said, but you like doing this, you like making music, you like, you're really good at it. I said, I'm only good at it to the people that we know. I'm not, I don't know how good I really am. She said, then study it, become professional.
Wow.
Be qualified for that. Be qualified. What do you mean? Okay. I said, okay, even if I do decide to do this, how am I going to do it? Because I can't even get that grant now. I can't get that grant to. And she said, you don't worry. You just go and convince your parents. I will get you the grant, or I will get you into somehow I'll work this out.
How amazing.
I said, what? I said, okay. I said, how am I going to have this conversation with? I said, I can't have this conversation.
I'm going into sound, and I'm going to become the sound engineer, and that's
yeah. So she said, look, you're going to have to, have you ever spoken to your parents about it? I said, no. It's already been programmed. I was already programmed just to go down this one road. There was no other road. Right. So I said, okay, let me go and let me try. So I've gone and sat my mom and dad down, and I've said, look, I've failed twice. Right. I've failed twice. I go, I'm not going to, what I want to do is, this is it. Either I've got to go and get a job, or I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to get into a university and try to be qualified and study this, and I will get a degree in it. And they said, look, my mom just turned around and she said, look, I want that photo of you with a degree on my wall. I don't care what you do now. She goes, I understand what you're saying. She goes, I don't care what you do, just do it.
I don't understand the sound engineering. What do you mean sound engineering? Engineer? I like engineer. You've got the doctor, accountant, engineer, or solicitor. They're the four majors, aren't they?
She said, just do it. She said, just do it. I said, right, fine. I said, I actually couldn't believe it that they actually agreed to this. I found my girlfriend, my wife, whoever you want to call it. I said, look, my parents have agreed to it, but you better make this happen now. How am I going to, you got to make this thing happen. I don't know how she did it. She got me into London Guildhall in central London, Aldgate. She got me into a sound engineering technician course to learn about sound engineering, right? I could not believe it. I got into this course and I passed it. It was flying colors. It was so easy for me.
Heart was in it, right?
Heart was in it.
Yeah.
Heart was in it. So, and my mom was so happy. She was crying on my graduation day because she said, I can't believe you actually graduated. She thought I was a failure in life because I was naughty. I'm not going to lie. I was a very naughty child, right? So, and also at all this time, this is that you're at a peak in your life, Sukhi ji. You are, these are the ages from what, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. These are the ages I'm going through right now. And this is the time I'm living in Southall. Heart of Southall, there's gangs around me. All my friends are gangsters. Very close friends of mine got shot, got dead. So many of my friends stabbed, in prison. Some of them are still in prison now. It's like,
goodness me.
Music saved me. Music saved me.
You know, this is such a key point. I just want to iterate that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And, sometimes we can't see the trees from the wood. It's so narrow, you're so overwhelmed with stuff. But as you said yourself here, the key here is the defining moment in your life when you decided, I'm going to follow my passion and I'm going to further study and educate myself and move into an arena that I actually truly love. And forever, we'll be forever, indebted to your wife. Do feel free to share the name, but it's absolutely fine. Where did this go from there? If I can just double check something. And by the way, if you've just joined us, this is the Empower Hour episode 76 with Bittu Singh, the legendary singer, the Punjabi Bhangra industry of the UK and the world. Please scrub back to the start. If you've just joined the YouTube live, just rewind it, scrub it back to the start and listen. There are some serious beautiful gems and how he managed to convince his parents and actually ingenuity and with ingenuity actually decided entrepreneurially to learn instruments without even being in the relevant courses. So this isn't an individual who just fell on his feet. It's somebody who puts the hard graft in, and that's the secret. So please do enjoy. Welcome back to episode 76 with Bittu. Bittu, I'm just going to take into a slightly different direction.
Yeah.
Now, with reference to music as a whole, and what would be lovely if I could just touch and ask a few things. I told you this time would go really quickly. We're already 36 minutes
Yeah.
in the interview itself. But boy, has it been wonderful. So how you've engaged yourself and actually really applied yourself in the music. But I also know that obviously Daji's your brother, and I know you're all instrumental, musically orientated. You're the vocalist, but there's a story that I know about yourself where you didn't actually start to become a vocalist. So please, if you can, just in a few sentences, just tell us about how that journey came about. And then you also studied formally, please.
Right. So that journey came about on a very young age, around about 7, 8 years old, I remember. My sister got me a Tumbi finally. Yeah. She got me a Tumbi it was my birthday. She got me a Tumbi. I was over the moon. Right. I wanted it for so many years. I finally got the Tumbi. Once she got me the Tumbi, I started playing, and at a very early, I remember this because I was just about to get my, so I was started playing Tumbi on stage around about 14, right?
14.
About 14, 15, I was playing.
With
these were with tool players only. These were with tool players, a local tool player, a guy called Harvey. He's the one that actually took me on stage first. He heard me because I used to have my Tumbi always in my jacket. Whenever I used to go to school or when I used to go to a little party, and they were having what we call a section, is having a little drink up in the park. Okay. And I turned up. They said, "Look, guys, we've got to show you." Some other guy took me there. He said, "Bro, you got to see this guy. You ain't never seen this before." And that guy was a tool player. And we went there. They were all having a little drink. They were older than me, and I started playing this Tumbi. They said, he said, "This is amazing. No one plays a Tumbi." He said, "We will do a set with a Tumbi and a tool like this, and on weddings." I said, "Fine." I said, "Let's go." So obviously I'd never drove or anything. So the guy used to come and pick me up. He used to convince my mom first for like half an hour that, "Look, I'm going to bring him back by this time. And we're just going, there's no drinks or no drugs or nothing. And we're going to go there. We're going to do the show. And we're going to come back."
So all of that. Dancing specifically, which is the Punjabi dance, isn't it?
No. There's nothing to do with Bhangra dances yet.
Okay, so it's just singing.
This is before. No, this is just playing the Tumbi.
Okay, so just like events, playing Tumbi and Dol.
Yes, yeah, Tumbi and Dol. So this guy, who was older than me, he started taking me to his gigs. Okay. And so it brought this element of just the Tumbi. So all I used to do was just play the Tumbi. It was a real struggle because at that time, obviously, I never had the mic in the Tumbi. So I never had invented that style yet. So it was such a hard thing to do. So I used to be playing the Tumbi with these guys, loads, in loads of weddings. Then I got taken. Then somebody told me about a team called the Great Indian Dancers. This was a Great Indian Dancers. This was a Bhangra team. So around about 15, 14, 15, yeah, I was going on to that because I just was getting my provisional license. This was at 16. So I was there. I was in the group at that time before I got my provisional license. That's how I always remember it.
Just to clarify, Bhangra meaning it's the folk dancing, yes? So the Sikh folk dancing, well, Punjab actually, not necessarily just...
Bhangra folk dance. Bhangra folk dance of Punjab, you can say, right? So the folk dance of Punjab, so I got introduced to these guys. Luckily for me, their singer had just left. Oh, right, so there was like a little gap. They needed somebody to sort of sing and play the Tumbi. I came in as just a Tumbi player. I used to just I came in as a Tumbi player. Then they started advising me that you should sing as well because they needed a singer as well. I really didn't know much about singing, but I said, okay, no problem. So I started singing, but my pronunciation was really bad.
Punjabi.
Obviously, I was just a UK-born, normal Punjabi kid. Really and truly, mostly we used to speak English, really, amongst ourselves at school and everything. So, and Punjabi was when we speak to our parents, and it was really sort of like tutti, futti, roti khani, very sort of.
That's it.
That's it. Hanji noji, that's it.
No fluency.
So I got my little dictaphone. And they gave me a little dictaphone, and Gavi, he coached me a lot. He was one of the tool players. he gave me a dictaphone. He said, look, record all the boliyan, rehearse them by next week. Or no, he gave me about a month or so. He said, rehearse it and then
learn the songs.
Yeah. By the next rehearsal, I had learned all the songs. Mate, as soon as I had a task to do, I was day and night listening.
On it.
Yeah, on it. I learned all the songs, but the only problem was my pronunciation was not good. I learned all the songs, but the pronunciation wasn't good. So, sorry, all the boliyan. Learned them by heart. I was ready. But the pronunciation, they said, look, then they started breaking down every boli they taught me for so many years. I'm so grateful to the great Indian dancers, Arvinder Gavi, all the team members, the lead members, the leader. They spent so much time with me. They made BEE2, really.
Yeah, well, that's very humble of yourself to be sharing it, that they made BEE2. But the reality is that what I'm just trying to say for the non-Punjabi speaking audience that's listening tonight across the globe, that means basically the pronunciation, if you could say, there are certain twangs within the Punjabi language, which are like ra as opposed to ara, and there's certain sound twangs that basically they kind of show that you're not from Punjab in India. So the pronunciations change a little bit. So my question was that basically that they help you form the language better to make it sound more, I'd say, authentic.
Yes.
But where did you get your, just if you can touch base, where did you get, because I also know you're classically trained, so where did you get that?
So from there, that's what I was gonna come to just now, that once they sort of got me up and running on that sort of side of things, started getting quite decent, doing a lot of shows, then they said, look, this is now, we've taught you everything we know. As in, this is how much we could bring you up. This is how far we could bring you.
This is as far as we can take you.
Yeah. Now,
you need some better than this. Yes.
You need to learn about key, about rag, about scales, about composition, about these are the things that you need to go into. I said, wow. I said, what is that? I thought I was doing all right. I thought I was done. They said, no. They said, then they took me to Ajit Singh Desi, who's my ustadji, my first ustadji.
So Ajit Singh Desi.
Desi, yeah.
Is that Southall-based individual?
Yes, Southall-based. And he was a classical musician, as in he was a classical tabla player, harmonium player, and he used to play with a lot of bands. That's how they knew him. He used to play with a lot of the keyboard with a lot of the like Premi.
I recognize the name considerably. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so he was one of the keyboard players, a freelance keyboard player for a lot of these groups. And they took me to him, and we did the whole ceremony, with the bag and the ladoos, and they were like, the whole thing. So, and I was like quite confused, but this is how it was done.
Just to clarify for the audience, that means basically he took you on as a formal student in that context.
Yes.
A very big thing within the Asian orientation, isn't it, in Asia, that you have a genuine teacher who's going to take you kind of like under the wing and teach you all the nuances and the rags and the foundation of sound.
That's right. Yes. So once we had, then I started taking lessons regularly, and I started learning about rags, keys, and all that. And at the same time, this was when I was going through these motions, this was all happening. Then all my university days were coming in, and then I went more into the music production stuff.
Yes.
And from there, now, can we go into the story where I sort of left university now without no job?
Yeah, right. Well, we can, yeah. I was going to say, before we move into that story, is it possible just to maybe give us a few lines of some of your hit songs? Because you've actually been a formidable person that I followed as a vocalist. I've been involved in the music industry in the past as well, through the 90s. And, Bittu, it was such a fresh energy for me as a young, well, maybe not so young nowadays, but a little older than you, but a young person listening. That a young person from UK was pronouncing language properly, was speaking Punjabi properly, and actually singing, that kind of thing. So for me, it'd be wonderful if you've got anything you'd like to share with the audience, please.
Yeah, I mean, we can go. I mean, there's one of the folk. So I always liked singing folk songs, as you know, and there was a classic song that was a hit back in the day that I reproduced, and we re-sung this song called Baba Ve Kalam Road.
Oh yes, absolutely. Chamkila, is that right? Yes.
No, it's Jagmohan Kaur, K. Deepan Jagmohan Kaur. ओ बाबा वे कलाम रोड नीन किए ला दे जोर बाबा मार ना दाबा नहीं तो हो जू खून खराबा तू कहना घेर गड्डी दा तू कहना घेर गड्डी दा अड़ गया नहीं धक्का लाउंदी नू सा चढ़ गया वे कलाम रोड.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hey, that's so beautiful. Yeah. You know what? It's really hard, Bittu, to distinguish you as a Brit-born Westerner, right?
Yes.
And then translating the language nuances and tonality that you're delivering with literally the ancient, like it's 1960s.
Yes.
Hard tracks written in what we call theatre, which is traditional. Pure yes. Punjabi, and it's such a fresh breath of fresh air to hear that nuance across. Thank you very much for sharing such a lovely track. So I'm going to ask a question. Can we now move forward? As you said, I can't believe how fast time's going, but you know, it's been wonderful, by the way, so far. I'm going to say, let's ask, if you don't mind answering a little bit of question. So you've now become as you said, a qualified sound engineer, which is like where you are right now. I'm in awe of your desk there. You know, I mean, your desk behind you, it's awesome. That's unbelievable. I'm going to have to come down and take some people over there and do it after 100%. After COVID, and come down and sit down with sound pipes and actually get you to do some tracks and stuff. But the reality is that you've now left, you've now moved in. And how did it get to your first track? I mean, if you can just be short about it, because I've got a couple of other things I want to ask you as well.
Okay.
How did you get to your first track and stardom? It just came just like that.
No, so from my university days, so while I was at university for those 2-3 years that I was there doing my sound engineering degree, there was only one studio I knew about, was Kuljit Bhamra studio in Southall.
Absolutely.
The man who made Rail Gaddi, Jagwala Mela, so many biggest hits. Yeah, at that time. Kuljit Bhamra, there was Kuljit Bhamra and what was the other producer's name?
Deepak Khajanchi and
Deepak Khajanchi, that's it.
Deepak Khajanchi and Pete Ware as well.
Yeah, those were the Deepak Khajanchi and Kuljit Bhamra were the main people that made Bhangra music. What we call Bhangra music today. They were the ones that put these drum synths in there, the keyboards, and they created this sound. Because Bhangra, really, when you say Bhangra,
even if you hark back to Pachangi group, you know,
yeah.
Way back in the 60s.
Yeah.
They kind of came into they were early birds, and they were the people who established everything. And then you got your Hira, Alap, and moving forward into the same. And it was all with Kuljit Bhamra. They were the foundation of this.
So his studio was in Southall. This studio was just a dark sort of warehouse in Southall. And for 2-3 years, Sukhi, I was knocking on that door, and nobody never opened that door. I want to meet Kuljit Bhamra because I want to tell him that, look, I'm doing this degree thing that, you know, how does it work? I want to get some advice from him. There was no internet around really then. There was nothing like major. There's no mobile phones. Like these things weren't really around then. I'm knocking, there's no board outside, there's no number. I'm talking to people. They said, we haven't seen Kuljit, you know, he's just in his work. It's hard to get hold of him. You know, there's some people that knew him. I could not get hold of this guy. 2-3 years I was knocking, banging on that door. Every time I used to go past Barrett Coach, I used to go past, knock on the door. Nobody's there. Nobody. If I'm riding my bike around that area, I should knock on the door. No one's there. On the day that I completed my degree, I walked out of university, London Guildhall, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do now? It was one of those moments again. I've got the degree, now what am I going to do? What do I do now? So I'm coming back and I thought, oh my God, I need to get advice. How do I get a job in this sort of industry? Who do I go? And I thought, driving past, got into Southall, obviously, again, came to my mind, look, let me just try knocking on Kuljit Bhamra's door. This time I had my car, the car was ready to start. I knew he wasn't going to open it, but I just knocked on it. Left the door open in the car park. The key was in the car, started, and went to the door, knock. On the first knock, he opens the door.
Wow! So now you weren't expecting it. You're slammed on your feet. Now you're going, oh, hang on. It's kind of like that cartoon moment of knocking on somebody's face while you're sitting knocking on the door, not expecting it.
Absolutely. I'm knocking on the. I said, "What the hell?" And he said, "Hi there." Yep. And I was just like speechless. I went, "Oh my God, what do I say now?" He's actually opened the door. What do I say to him? I said, "My name's like Bittu," and he goes, "Mate, do you want to turn your car off?"
Yeah, are you all right?
Yeah, you okay? I said, yeah. I said, 1 second. I turned my car, locked my car, came back to him again, and he's still standing there with his walking stick. And I said, Kulje, look, I've just finished my degree in sound engineering. He said, what, you're a qualified sound engineer? I said, yeah. He said, I've never met an Indian qualified sound engineer. What? Like, and then I told him, because then I said, look, I'm, you know, my uncle, he sings as well, because all of like my uncles were singing at that time. So they all, and he was one of the guys that sung with his mother, Bhangra, on that album. You know, Gidda Pao Han Dio Mar Mar Ge Tali. Baba Charanjit, who's the male vocalist on that album, the duet singer, he's my uncle.
Wow. Okay.
So he's my dad's cousin brother.
I didn't know that. Right.
So I'm his, nephew. This and he said, look, come inside. I said, look, I'm a qualified engineer. I don't know where to go. You need to give me advice. He said, there's no advice to give. When can you start? I said, what? He said, you come to me tomorrow. Make sure you bring a paper and a book. This guy changed my life, Sukhi. Wow. This guy changed my life in a second. I went home and I said to my mom, I said, Mom, I went to the studio. I've got to go there on Monday morning. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know what I'm going to do there.
But I've got a job.
But I'm doing something. I've got a job. She said, I can't believe this. She said, you're lying. She said, I'll believe it when you start bringing the money in. Yeah. I went to the studio. I said, Kulje, right, what do we do? How do we start? He said, right, do you know about this? And I knew all these technical things. I said, yeah, I know about this. He said, you know what? Forget whatever you've learned. He said, now you listen to me. I said, right. Again, wiped slate. Completely. You tell me, Kulje.
The foundation was laid, though.
Yes, the foundation was laid. So then he started teaching me about production. This is where I learned. And this guy showed me things I never would have thought I was ever able or ever would be, blessed to see. I engineered Sultan Khanji, Pandit Brijnanji, Tariq Khan, the biggest, classical musicians in the world. I was sitting with them drinking.
To sit and sound engineer and track.
Sound engineer with them. They're saying, yeah, sunny lagta, ye wo nahi lag raha, make sound like this. And this studio was massive. He taught me. Kulje Brahma took me there. He took me to Bombay Dreams in West End, working with A.R. Rahman and Andrew Lloyd Webber. Kulje Brahma took me there.
So I'm going to touch base. You've had pupillage from the best in the Asian industry. The pupillage, you've actually sat there and been taught by the best. So you've now worked with A.R. Rahman, as you said, through the noughties, and you've also worked with top individuals in the marketplace, the ones who are the leaders of the Western world as well.
And at that time, it was not digital. Those studios weren't digital. We were recording on reel to reel. We used to go to Abbey Road with the Beatles recorded. We used to go there to master things. This is what Kulje Bhamgra showed me. He showed me
everything.
I could never. Then obviously he also, because he's a phenomenal, what you call it, tabla player.
Yes.
And he used to do world music gigs. He took me to world music gigs that I've never seen in my whole life. These places I was touring with him.
Yes.
Honestly,
so I'm just blown away by the fact that Gurjit Bhamgra ji, he's a legend within the music industry with that Punjabi music. Yeah. I'm telling you, this time is going so fast. I've got so much more to ask of you.
Okay.
I wish I had 2 hours with you. Honestly, you're an amazing storyteller, and I hope everybody who's listening tonight on the radio is understanding on this pod that it's actually as enthusiastic as I am. I could be silent for the whole of this. It's so amazing. I'm going to ask you some question. We're getting close to the end of our thoughts, but there are some tracks and music and tracks and stuff. But I just want to touch quickly. You've got a new album that's just been released. It's called Glock. Now,
yes,
it's available from what I understand on iTunes, on Music, Apple Music, on all of the major streamers. People have probably heard it. I've seen the video. It's very urban. It's very British as well. And I love the diversity within that particular album, the single you've done. But if it's okay, just if you've got a couple of seconds to do a few lines, that'd be grateful. We literally have 5 minutes left. That's it. So I want
my God. Okay.
It'd be lovely to do that. And then just tell us how people can get hold of you and how they can download this stuff as well. Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start by. ओ कन कार सुन ले पतलिए नारे चार चंद चाड़ के वखा दूं तारे एवें ना तू संजरी नु पुत जट दा नी डब विच पर के गलोक फिरदा अखां दे विच परे आए खून चिरदा मुछां नु वट मार के ओ लगे मिरदा नी हट जा रकाने पंगा पैणा सिरे दा So that is a new single, Glock.
Thank you.
And, you know, the main thing, you know, to keep up to date with me is obviously through Instagram and TikTok. You know, that's where I am very sort
What
of
is the
active
handle?
on.
At B2?
Yeah, at B2.official.
.official. So it's B as in B double E.
Double E, number 2, dot official.
Official. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And that's at B2 official on Insta, and people can reach out with you if they want to book you and that kind of stuff. And would they? My plea to everybody else is just to support this. Honestly, it's so great and so refreshing to have such beautiful, traditionally sounding Punjabi lyrics, but by a very young, modern individual like Bittu himself, qualified by the best, and actually is a true agent of music. I am so in awe of your story so far. I wish I could have another half an hour with you. I've got a couple of questions I'm going to ask yourself, Bittu.
Yeah.
If I turn around and gave you a legacy question, if I said to you, here lies, we have this every month, by the way, every single week, it's here lies Bittu Singh, the man who, how would you end that for everybody and why?
The man who redeveloped the sound of the Tumbi. The man who, you know, spread positivity in the room wherever we went. That's who I want to be remembered as.
So B2, the man who redeveloped the sound of the Tumbi and spread positivity everywhere he went.
Yes.
Because you're a real joker. We haven't had a chance to get those jokes out of you. I know you're a complete joker. And I love this there. It's absolutely, it's brilliant to hear that. Such a great compounding message, which I think should reverberate within everybody. Be happy and be fun and just spread smiles everywhere, right? But the man who redeveloped the Tumbi sound. So I'm going to ask you a question. In your mind, everybody in the Empower Hour has been very open and honest, as you have as well, that there are times in life when things get dark and dingy. You know, what is the motto, the wisdom quote that you reside or that you call up to get yourself back on your feet in a positive moment? So people who are listening to this may be having a dark moment, maybe feeling a little bit sad. And you've obviously put a smile on my face as well. I'm telling you that. It's amazing. But what is your wisdom quote that really gets you out of bed?
There's one thing that my mother told me at a very young age that I never ever have forgotten in my whole life. And it has got me out of so many sticky moments when I've been down in those dark moments that you're saying, Sukhi. And it's, you know, everybody must have heard this quote, but if they understand it, it's a different thing. Mm-hmm. Anything is possible when you put your mind to it. Anything is possible when you put your mind to it. You know, we only have one life.
Got it. So I'm listening to that. The way I see this is where I'm understanding is that if you actually apply yourself and focus on that, that is so beautiful. Anything is possible if you put your mind to it. So
no, that is the original quote.
Okay.
If, that word if, I never use the word if. It's a weak word. If, maybe, it can't be. Nah.
Got it.
It's when. I use only when, wherever it's written in my diary, in my computer, wherever, but sometimes I have to remind myself. I get lost myself. I get lost. And it says when. So it's just waiting for me to do it. I can do anything.
That's beautiful. So when you put your mind to it.
When you put your mind to it. I like to say it like that.
I love it. And that's your quote. And my blessings goes out to Auntie G, your mum, wherever they are in the light. And I'm sure they didn't realize they've given you such an powerful, I could say, sting in the bee in your tail, where you can turn around and be and deliver and everything you want. And I'm not joking, seriously. It's actually been a tremendous pleasure for myself personally, to have you on the show. I'm still going to ask you one more question before we go, because we've still got a minute, so I'm trying to squeeze as much. I love listening. For yourself, I mean, at what point, when you're in industry, I mean, you've been in the industry for sort of like 20 years plus, haven't you?
Yeah. Professionally in this, in the sound, in the music industry,
Yeah, and you've produced tracks for people, but you've also done your own, right? And you yourself and Daji, your brother, etc. What was the most memorable moment that you had in one of the songs? You know, what was the most fun song that you've had and done?
It would be one of the most fun song would be BIG, that Lambi Maan Karke.
And that's one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, that was such a enjoyable song. From the minute we laid the beat down, we never had the song at that point. We knew it was going to be big. We actually saved it in the computer and the hard drive as BIG, big.
Big. Yeah.
That's why we kept that. I said, this is going to be big. Said you didn't even have it saved yet. I said, save this as big, so I know where it is. This is going to be a hit track. This is going to be a big track. And that was one of our, the video, everything. There was such a great journey for that song.
Amazing. And I'm going to push you, friend. I love your voice. I need more, I'm afraid. Can you, come on, give me a line of big. Come on.
Okay. Oh, नच के वखा दे मिल जच के वखा दे मित्तरां दे नारे उत्ते बोली एक पा दे असी कदों देखड़े हां तेरे मारे असी कदों देखड़े हां तेरे मारे हड़ाड़ी लंबी बां करके गेड़ा गिद्दे विच दे जा मुट्टे यारे हड़ाड़ी लंबी बां करके गेड़ा गिद्दे विच दे जा मुट्टे यारे हड़ाड़ी लंबी बां करके.
Oh, amazing. I'm telling you, that's just so wonderful because I just wanted you to send me that track because a lot of people have got you BEE2 and they know your stuff and you're a great looking guy and you're on stage and talking and we've seen all your videos on YouTube, just Googling yourself, but support Bittu. Please download his tracks, on Spotify, on Apple Music, on any other medium that's out there that serves you. Download, enjoy, and put a smile on your face. This has been our sincere pleasure, Bittu, to have you on the Salam Radio platform on our Empower Hour show, episode number 76. Thank you very much on behalf of myself, Sukhi Wahiwala, and the whole Inspired Tribe for sharing your journey.
Thank you for having me on there.
It's been more than a pleasure. Absolute pleasure having you on here. You've been a true inspiration. And for everybody else, thank you. And for everybody else, don't forget to tune in every single Tuesday on the Empower Hour show between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock UK time, live on www.youtube.com/Sukhi Wahiwala official, and also on the salamradio.co.uk application. I will see you in episode 77.